Many people struggle in life because they want to understand everything before they are willing to accept it. Human nature desires clarity, control, and certainty. We plan carefully, we imagine specific outcomes, and we convince ourselves that happiness depends on things happening exactly the way we expect. But life repeatedly shows us that events unfold differently from our plans. Doors close when we thought they would open. Opportunities disappear without explanation, and sometimes we face trials we never imagined. In those moments, faith begins with the powerful realization, Allah knows what you do not know. Human knowledge is limited by time, emotion, and perspective. We see only the present moment, while Allah sees the past, present, and future all at once. We judge situations based on immediate feelings. What hurts must be bad. What pleases us must be good. Yet many experiences later reveal hidden wisdom. A job you desperately wanted may not have been good for your character or your faith. A relationship you cried over losing may have saved you from deeper pain. A delay that frustrated you may have positioned you perfectly for something better. What once felt like loss becomes protection when seen through the lens of divine wisdom. Accepting Allah's plan begins when a believer understands that not knowing the reason behind events does not mean there is no reason. Faith is not built on seeing every answer, but on trusting the one who has all answers. Allah's knowledge is not random or careless. It is precise, merciful, and perfectly timed. Every experience is written with purpose, even when that purpose remains hidden from human understanding. Often people suffer more from resistance than from the hardship itself. The heart asks endless questions. Why me? Why now? Why did this happen? These questions come from a desire to control outcomes. But when a person remembers that Allah's knowledge surpasses all human understanding, the heart slowly softens. Instead of asking why something happened, the believer begins asking how to respond with faith. This shift transforms pain into growth. There is deep comfort in knowing that Allah is aware of every silent struggle. Nothing escapes His knowledge, not the tears shed in private, not the worries hidden behind smiles, not the prayers whispered when hope feels distant. When something leaves your life, Allah knew its beginning and its end long before you did. When something arrives unexpectedly, it comes at the exact moment it was meant to reach you. Acceptance grows when you realize that your life is not unfolding randomly, but according to divine wisdom that never makes mistakes. Trusting Allah's knowledge also protects the heart from despair. Humans often regret the past or fear the future because they believe outcomes depend entirely on their own decisions. But faith reminds us that Allah's plan operates beyond human error. Even mistakes can become paths toward guidance. Even wrong turns can lead to lessons that bring a person closer to Allah. Nothing is wasted in the life of a believer when it is viewed through trust in divine knowledge. When you truly accept that Allah knows what you do not know, comparison with others begins to fade. You'll stop measuring your journey against someone else's success because you understand that every person is living a different test, a different timeline, and a different mercy. What is written for you will reach you without being delayed. And what is not meant for you will never remain, no matter how strongly you hold on to it. This acceptance brings emotional relief. The heart no longer carries the heavy burden of trying to control everything. Instead, it learns to move forward with effort while leaving results in Allah's hands. You still work, strive, and make plans, but you no longer attach your peace to outcomes. Peace comes from knowing that even if things do not happen as expected, they are still happening according to perfect knowledge. Over time, this understanding changes how you interpret life itself. Hardships become lessons instead of punishments. Delays become preparation instead of denial. Closed doors become redirection instead of failure. The believer begins to see life not as a series of random events, but as a carefully guided journey shaped by divine wisdom. Accepting that Allah knows what you do not know does not remove challenges, but it transforms how you carry them. Anxiety slowly gives way to trust. Confusion softens into patience, and fear is replaced by hope. The heart rests in the certainty that the one who created you understands your needs better than you understand your needs, better than you understand yourself, and that every moment of your life is unfolding under knowledge that is perfect, merciful, and infinitely wise. One of the greatest struggles of the human heart is the desire to control everything. People naturally want life to unfold according to their expectations. They create detailed plans, imagine specific futures, and attach their happiness to outcomes they believe are best for them. When reality moves in a different direction, frustration, anxiety, and disappointment begin to grow. True inner peace, however, begins when a person learns to let go of excessive control and sincerely trusts Allah's divine decree. Letting go of control does not mean becoming careless or abandoning effort. Islam teaches believers to strive, work hard, and make responsible choices. The difference lies in understanding where human effort ends and divine wisdom begins. A believer takes action but accepts the results belong to Allah alone. This understanding frees the heart from the exhausting pressure of trying to control what was never meant to be controlled. Many people live in constant worry because they believe everything depends entirely on their own planning. They fear failure, rejection, and uncertainty because they feel responsible for securing every outcome. But when a person understands Qadr, the divine decree, they realize that every event has already been written with perfect knowledge. What reaches you was never going to miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. This belief removes the heavy burden of fear from the heart. Life often teaches this lesson through unexpected experiences. A person may prepare tirelessly for something only to watch it slip away at the last moment. Another opportunity may appear without effort or planning. These moments remind us that while effort is required, outcomes are ultimately guided by Allah's will. When a believer accepts this reality, disappointment no longer destroys faith. Instead, it strengthens reliance on Allah. Trusting God transforms how a person reacts to uncertainty. Instead of fearing the unknown future, the believer walks forward with calmness, knowing that Allah's plan is already in motion. Anxiety decreases because the heart understands that nothing happens randomly. Every success, delay, meeting, and separation carries wisdom beyond human understanding. Often resistance to Allah's decree creates more suffering than the situation itself. When people refuse to accept what has happened, they replay events repeatedly in their minds, imagining alternative outcomes. They ask themselves endless questions about what they could have done differently. This constant mental struggle traps the heart in regret and restlessness. Acceptance breaks this cycle. When a person says sincerely, "This is what Allah has chosen for me," the heart begins to heal. Letting go of control also strengthens humility. It reminds us that human beings are not masters of destiny, but servants guided by divine wisdom. This humility brings emotional balance. Success no longer leads to arrogance because a believer recognizes it as a blessing from Allah. Failure no longer leads to despair because it is understood as part of a larger plan. Trusting God encourages patience during hardship. When difficulties arise, the believer does not assume life is unfair or meaningless. Instead, they view challenges as moments designed for growth, purification, and spiritual elevation. Even pain gains purpose when connected to trust in Allah's decree. There is a unique freedom that comes from surrendering outcomes to Allah. The heart becomes lighter because it no longer carries unrealistic expectations. Effort continues, but worry decreases. Planning remains important, but attachment to results fades. A believer learns to say, "I will do my best and I trust Allah with the rest." This mindset changes relationships, ambitions, and personal goals. Rejection becomes redirection rather than humiliation. Delays become preparation rather than punishment. Closed doors become protection rather than loss. The believer begins to see that Allah's choices are always wiser than human desires. Trusting God does not remove emotions. Disappointment and sadness may still appear. However, these feelings no longer shake faith. Beneath every emotion remains a steady foundation of trust. The believer knows that Allah, the Qarailus, and never without mercy. Over time, surrendering control brings deep tranquility. The constant tension between expectation and reality disappears. The heart rests in certainty that every moment is unfolding exactly as it should. Instead of fighting life's flow, the believer moves with it, confident that Allah is guiding every step toward what is ultimately best. Life does not always move at the pace we desire. Human beings naturally want quick answers, immediate success, and instant relief from hardship. When something is delayed or taken away, the heart often interprets it as rejection or failure. People begin to question their worth, their efforts, and sometimes even their prayers. Yet one of the most transformative realizations in faith is understanding that delays and difficulties are not signs of abandonment, but often signs of divine care. Many times, what feels like a closed door is actually protection. A person may pursue something with complete certainty that it will bring happiness. a job, a relationship, an opportunity, or a personal dream. When it does not work out, disappointment can feel overwhelming. The mind focuses only on what was lost, unable to see what was avoided. However, Allah's wisdom operates beyond human vision. He sees consequences that we cannot foresee and outcomes that we cannot imagine. What appears to be denial may actually be mercy quietly guiding us away from harm. Difficulties also reshape the heart in ways comfort never can. Ease often makes people forget their dependence on Allah, while hardship brings sincerity back into their prayers. During moments of struggle, the believer turns to Allah with humility, honesty, and deep need. These moments strengthen faith because they remind us that true stability does not come from circumstances but from connection with Allah. Delays carry hidden lessons about patience and readiness. Sometimes we ask for blessings before we are emotionally or spiritually prepared to handle them. If certain opportunities arrive too early, they might overwhelm us or distract us from what truly matters. Allah's timing allows growth to occur before responsibility is given. A delay can be preparation, shaping character, strengthening resilience and refining intentions, so that when the blessing finally arrives, it benefits rather than harms. There are countless moments in life when understanding comes only after time has passed. People often look back and realize that the hardship they once feared became the turning point that changed everything for the better. The rejection that once caused tears led to a healthier path. The delay that felt unbearable created maturity and wisdom. What once seemed like loss later revealed itself as guidance. Finding peace in difficulties requires shifting perspective. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, the believer begins to ask, what is Allah teaching me through this? This change transforms suffering into meaning. Trials become opportunities for growth rather than evidence of failure. Even pain gains purpose when viewed as part of Allah's plan for spiritual elevation. Hardships also remind us that worldly life is temporary. Constant ease can create attachment to this world, while challenges redirect the heart toward the eternal. When a believer experiences difficulty, they become more aware of the fragility of life and the importance of relying on Allah rather than temporary comforts. This awareness deepens gratitude for small blessings that might otherwise go unnoticed. Peace emerges when acceptance replaces resistance. Fighting against reality creates emotional exhaustion, but trusting Allah's wisdom allows the heart to rest even in uncertainty. Acceptance does not mean liking hardship. It means believing that behind every challenge lies a wisdom greater than immediate understanding. During difficult times, patience becomes an act of worship. Every moment of endurance carries reward, and every tear witnessed by Allah holds meaning. The believer understands that struggles are never wasted. Even unseen efforts, silent prayers, and private resilience are valued by Allah. Delays also teach reliance rather than desperation. When something does not arrive when expected, the believer learns to detach from worldly timelines and attach hope directly to Allah. This reliance creates stability because it is rooted in faith rather than circumstance. Happiness no longer depends solely on outcomes but on trust in Allah's wisdom. Over time, a person who embraces this understanding begins to see life differently. Difficulties lose their power to create hopelessness. Delays no longer feel like rejection. Instead, every experience becomes part of a journey carefully designed by Allah. The heart learns to wait without despair, to struggle with awe, youth losing faith, and to hope without demanding immediate results, knowing that what Allah chooses and when He chooses it is always filled with mercy, wisdom, and purpose beyond human imagination. Every human being experiences pain, disappointment, and moments of deep struggle. Hardship is an unavoidable part of life, yet the way a person responds to difficulty determines whether pain becomes a source of despair or a path toward transformation. Patience, known as Sabr, is not simply waiting passively for problems to disappear. It is an active state of strength, faith, and emotional endurance that allows hardship to shape the believer into a stronger and more spiritually grounded person. When challenges appear, the immediate reaction of the human heart is often resistance. People ask why life feels unfair or why suffering comes despite sincere effort and prayer. These reactions are natural, but patience teaches a different perspective. Instead of seeing hardship as punishment, Sabr encourages viewing it as an opportunity for growth. The trials refine character in ways comfort never can. Just as pressure transforms raw materials into something stronger, difficulties refine the heart and reveal inner strength that might otherwise remain hidden. Patience begins with controlling one's response. It does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending pain does not exist. A patient believer feels sadness, frustration, and fear, but chooses not to allow those emotions to destroy faith or hope. Sabr is maintaining trust in Allah even when answers are unclear and relief feels distant. It is the decision to continue doing good, to continue praying, and to continue praying, and to continue believing that hardship carries purpose. Many people only discover their true resilience during difficult times. Ease rarely demands deep reflection, but hardship forces self-examination. It pushes a person to reassess prior with his intentions and reliance on worldly things. Through patience, individuals learn that strength does not come from having a perfect life, but from maintaining faith despite imperfection. The heart grows softer, more compassionate, and more aware of others' struggles. Patience also deepens a believer's connection with Allah. During times of ease, prayer can sometimes become routine, but hardship revives sincerity. A person turns to Allah with honesty and vulnerability, seeking comfort and guidance. These moments of sincere connection strengthen faith in ways that comfort alone cannot achieve. The believer begins to realize that closeness to Allah often emerges through trials rather than through uninterrupted ease. Another transformation brought by patience is emotional maturity. Difficult experiences teach restraint, humility, and empathy. A person who has endured hardship becomes more understanding toward others and less judgmental of their struggles. Patience cultivates compassion because suffering reminds us of our shared human vulnerability. It transforms pain into wisdom that benefits not only the individual but also those around them. Sabr also protects the heart from bitterness. Without patience, hardship can lead to anger, resentment, and hopelessness. These emotions slowly consume inner peace. Patience interrupts the cycle by reminding the believer that Allah never tests a soul beyond its capacity. Every trial comes with hidden strength granted by Allah, even if that strength is discovered gradually. This belief prevents despair from taking root. Growth through patience often occurs quietly. The believer may not notice immediate change, but over time they become calmer during difficulties, more grateful during ease, and more trusting of Allah's plan. Situations that once caused panic begin to feel manageable. The heart learns stability because it understands that hardship is temporary, while spiritual growth is lasting. Patience transforms how success and failure are viewed. Success is no longer measured only by worldly achievement, but by perseverance and faithfulness during struggle. Even when outcomes are uncertain, maintaining patience becomes an accomplishment in itself. The believer recognizes that enduring hardship with faith is a form of victory. Through sabr, pain gains meaning. Tears become acts of worship. Endurance becomes strength, and waiting becomes strength, and waiting becomes spiritual elevation. Instead of weakening the believer, hardship becomes a teacher guiding them toward deeper faith and stronger character. The struggle that once felt unbearable becomes the very experience that shapes wisdom, resilience, and closeness to Allah. As patience grows within the heart, fear of hardship begins to fade. The believer understands that every difficulty carries the potential for transformation. Pain no longer feels pointless because it is connected to growth. Through patience, suffering becomes a bridge leading toward inner strength, spiritual maturity, and a deeper awareness of Allah's constant presence and mercy. Human beings often divide life into categories of success and failure, happiness and hardship, gain and loss. When events match personal expectations, they are labeled as blessings, and when circumstances become difficult, they are seen as setbacks. This limited perspective causes emotional instability because life constantly shifts between ease and challenge. True transformation begins when a believer learns to see every situation as part of a greater divine plan rather than isolated moments of fortune or misfortune. Every experience in life carries meaning beyond what appears on the surface. Moments of success are not merely rewards for effort, and moments of struggle are not simply signs of failure. Both are care, fully placed within a person's journey to guide growth, shape character, and strengthen faith. When a believer understands that every situation comes from Allah with purpose, the heart begins to view life through a wider lens. Success, for example, is not only about achievement or recognition. It can be a test of gratitude, humility, and responsibility. When blessings arrive, a person is given the opportunity to remain thankful and use those blessings wisely. Wealth tests generosity, knowledge tests sincerity, and influence tests character. Recognizing success as part of Allah's plan, prevents arrogance because the believer understands that blessings are entrusted gifts rather than personal accomplishments alone. Similarly, failure or hardship becomes meaningful when seen as guidance instead of defeat. A closed door may redirect someone toward a better path. A disappointment may reveal weaknesses that require growth. Even painful experiences can awaken spiritual awareness that comfort never produces. When challenges are understood as steps within a divine plan, they lose the power to create hopelessness. Seeing life as part of a larger plan also removes the need for constant comparison with others. People often measure their progress against the achievements of friends, family, or society. This comparison leads to feelings of inadequacy or impatience. But when a believer recognizes that every individual has a unique journey written by Allah, comparison fades. Each person faces different tests, different timings, and different blessings suited specifically for them. This perspective encourages patience during uncertain periods. Not every chapter of life is meant to be understood immediately. Some experiences only reveal their wisdom years later. Trusting that each moment is part of Allah's plan allows the believer to move forward without demanding instant clarity. F replaces the need to control or fully comprehend every event. Understanding the bigger picture also brings emotional balance. During moments of joy, the believer remains grounded, remembering that worldly success is temporary and should lead to gratitude rather than attachment. During moments of difficulty, hope remains alive because hardship is seen as temporary as well. This balance protects the heart from extreme emotional highs and lows. Another powerful change occurs when everyday events are viewed through this mindset. Ordinary encounters, unexpected opportunities, and even small delays begin to feel meaningful. A conversation may inspire change. A challenge may build resilience. A missed opportunity may open space for something more suitable. Life no longer feels random but guided with wisdom at every step. Believers who embrace this understanding also develop stronger reliance on Allah. Instead of reacting impulsively to circumstances, they pause and reflect, trusting that even confusing moments serve a greater purpose. This trust encourages thoughtful responses rather than emotional reactions. It nurtures calmness because the believer knows that Allah's plan unfolds with precision beyond human understanding. Over time, this outlook transforms fear into confidence. The future becomes less frightening because it is no longer viewed as uncertain chaos, but as a journey already known to Allah. Even unexpected challenges feel manageable when connected to divine wisdom. The believer walks forward with hope, believing that every step, whether easy or difficult, is leading somewhere meaningful. Seeing every situation as part of Allah's plan reshapes the heart completely. Success becomes an opportunity for gratitude, hardship becomes a source of growth, and uncertainty becomes an invitation to trust. Life is no longer defined by isolated moments, but understood as a continuous journey guided by mercy, wisdom, and purpose, where every experience contributes to the believer's spiritual development and ultimate destination. The human heart is constantly searching for peace. People often believe that contentment comes from achieving certain goals, gaining wealth, finding perfect relationships, or living without problems. Yet, even when many desires are fulfilled, restlessness can remain. True peace does not come from having everything we want, but from learning to appreciate what Allah has already given and trusting the wisdom behind what He has chosen. Gratitude and contentment have the power to completely transform how a person experiences life. Gratitude begins with recognition. Many blessings surround us every day, yet they often go unnoticed because attention is focused on what is missing rather than what is present. The ability to breathe, to wake up each morning, to have moments of comfort, family, opportunities, and guidance are all gifts that cannot be earned purely by effort. When a believer starts acknowledging these blessings, the heart naturally shifts from complaint to appreciation. Acceptance of Allah's plan strengthens gratitude because it removes the constant feeling that life should be different. Instead of saying, I will be happy when things change, the believer learns to say, I am thankful even now. This mindset does not deny hardship. Rather, it recognizes that blessings and challenges can exist together. Even during difficulty, there are countless mercies still present. Contentment, known as inner satisfaction with Allah's decree, protects the heart from endless comparison. Modern life encourages people to measure happiness by looking at others, someone else's success, possessions, or lifestyle. This comparison creates dissatisfaction, because there will always be someone who appears to have more. can't. Interment frees a person from this cycle by reminding them that what Allah has given is specifically suited for their life, their test, and their growth. Gratitude also changes emotional reactions. When blessings are recognized, small inconveniences no longer dominate the mind. The believer becomes less focused on temporary frustrations and more aware of lasting favors from Allah. This awareness softens the heart and reduces anxiety because attention shifts from scarcity to abundance. Another powerful effect of gratitude is increased trust in Allah. When a person reflects on past blessings and moments when Allah provided help unexpectedly, confidence in His plan grows. The believer begins to see patterns of mercy throughout life. Situations that once seemed impossible were resolved and difficulties were followed by relief. Remembering these moments strengthens hope and encourages patience during new challenges. Contentment does not mean abandoning ambition or effort. A believer can still strive for improvement while remaining satisfied with Allah's decree. The difference lies in emotional attachment. Goals are pursued with dedication, but happiness is not postponed until those goals are achieved. Peace exists in the present because it is rooted in trust rather than outcomes. Gratitude also deepens spiritual awareness. Gratitude also deepens spiritual awareness. The more a person thanks Allah, the more they notice His presence in everyday life. Simple moments become meaningful reminders of divine care. A kind interaction, a moment of ease after stress, or unexpected help begins to feel like personal signs of mercy. This awareness strengthens faith and nurtures a continuous connection with Allah. Complaints gradually decrease. When gratitude grows, the heart realizes that focusing only on hardship blinds us to countless blessings already surrounding us. Even trials themselves can become reasons for gratitude because they bring lessons, spiritual closeness, and opportunities for growth. The believer understands that every experience carries benefit, even if that benefit is not immediately visible. Contentment brings emotional stability. When life changes, and it always does, the believer remains balanced. Success does not create arrogance because gratitude keeps the heart humble. Hardship does not create despair because contentment maintains trust in Allah's wisdom. This balance allows a person to navigate life with calmness and resilience. Over time, gratitude transforms the entire outlook on life. Instead of chasing happiness externally, the believer discovers peace within. Acceptance of Allah's plan replaces anxiety with reassurance. The heart becomes lighter because it no longer fights against reality but embraces it with faith. Gratitude turns ordinary days into blessings, and contentment fills the soul with a quiet confidence that whatever Allah has chosen is enough, and whatever He withholds carries wisdom meant for ultimate good.